Hey, what is going on, Automotive Nation? I'm Jason Harris. How you guys doing? Welcome to the show. Appreciate you took the time to come check it out. Hey guys, happy holidays to everyone out there. I am so excited that you guys decided to come join us for today's Game Changer holiday series. Yeah, I was talking to a lot of friends. We were thinking about, hey, what are we going to do during the holidays, right? Like, we just know too many cool people. We need to put a little like holiday series like together, right? So I brought together, I would say, some of the best in our industry. We're talking about some seriously smart cats here, right? And we recorded some amazing sessions here in Nashville just for you guys. And we are so excited that you guys have decided to come join us. Hey, you're going to see just down below here, there's a little ticker going there. That is going to give you guys the phone number for the live Q&A. So today's session, all right, we have Tara Rigo from Spectrum Reach. All right, we're going to dive into how dealers win with multi-screen video. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. It's a great topic. It's very, very timely. And if you guys have any questions at any given point in time, I want you to text that number right below. Do you see it? It's like down here somewhere. See it going there? Okay. Text that number. I'm going to get it at the end of today's session. Tara's going to join me, and we're going to do some live Q&A. So, guys, no more talk. Let's get straight into it.
But if you're not identifying what's working and what's most impactful, how could you possibly know how to validate where your dollars are being spent? It doesn't matter if you spend $1,000 or $10,000 if you're not doing those things to understand, am I reaching the right audience in the right places?
You're going to find that kind of be as a general theme for everything that I know me and Tara are going to be talking about is speaking to that audience. And that is the most impactful and powerful strategy we're talking about here.
You can have all the impressions in the world. If you're not getting outcomes off of them, I mean, it really doesn't matter. People buy from people they like.
Yes.
They can't like you if they don't know you. And they can't know you if you're not in front of them. So that's where video really does play a big part in getting people to know you and like you, even if they've never actually been to your store or met you. It's not just about how many eyeballs you're getting, it's about how many people you're actually reaching that are part of that target audience, and how many times you're reaching them and staying in front of them and working towards, again, outcomes. This is where it gets really like juicy. Highest response rates are if women are in the commercials.
Okay, so I need a male voiceover with women in my commercial. Okay,
yes.
Okay.
30-second commercials actually outperform shorter versions of a 15-second or less commercial quite substantially.
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Automotive Nation? It's Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Game Changer Seminar, where I brought together pretty much everybody and anybody that is a game changer in our industry to come out, talk with me, talk to you, and really share some best practices, strategies, and we're going to get into some cool stuff today. I have a guest with me. Actually, I'm going to call her one of my friends. I have Tara with Spectrum Reach. Tara, come on up here. Say hi to everybody. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, for everybody out there that you don't know, Spectrum Reach is a game changer, bringing us back to the big screen. You know, like, I mean, and it's not like it never really went away, but it gotten smaller over the years. But I'm seeing this push come back to that big screen, and man, that gets me excited. Like, the creative's cool. You know, I mean, I remember the days of the Trunk Monkey. Remember the Trunk Monkey?
I love Trunk Monkey.
Or the, gonna get me one today, the Badger.
Oh, yes, the Badger. He's one of my favorites as well.
You know, and it's now like we're able to connect with people back on that big screen with cool, fun, creative, and you guys are just doing some amazing things. So, Tara, for everybody out there watching and listening right now who maybe don't know who you are, let's kick it off real quick with just kind of an origin story, because you know I love starting off with origin stories. How in the world did you get started in the automotive industry?
So I'll give the short version. I had been in the U.S. Army. I got out of the U.S. Army, and I decided to stay in the Washington area. I was at Fort Lewis, Washington. I stayed in the Washington area, and I was going to school. And while I was putting myself through school, I was a cocktail waitress at a very nice nightclub in Seattle. And one day, a group of guys did come in, and they were sitting at the table. It was during a happy hour, and I upsold, and I upsold, and I upsold, and they got all of everything they needed, and one lonely gentleman got stuck with the bill, and they had all left, and he was paying the bill, and he looked a little upset, and I asked him, I'm like, is there something wrong with the bill? He's like, no, but if I had one salesperson on my team that was as good as you were tonight, I wouldn't be sweating this bill. And I went to work for him the next day.
He was drinking nothing but doubles all night long, right? That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you got into the business. And this is one of those industries that once it gets into your blood, it is so hard to get it out. And you're one of the individuals that I just appreciate your passion for this industry. So let's get into it. Okay, I want to talk about TV. Yes, we're talking about TV. Let's just start with this. Is TV dead, or is it just misunderstood?
Wow. I mean, I guess I would say our phone's dead.
Right.
I mean, most of us don't have one in our house anymore, but we still carry one and stare at it all day long. TV's the same. It's just being handled and delivered differently than what you might be used to it, right? If we look at it, I think it's something like 43 and a half hours a week people spend watching TV. No matter if it's streaming, traditional, whatever you want to call it, 43 and a half hours. That's up 6 hours from 2020. So TV's not dead. It's actually getting bigger and bigger to the point that the average time someone spends trying to figure out what to watch is 10 and a half minutes. Now, in my home, it's much longer.
I would say mine too.
Yeah, my husband, I feel like it's an art form for him to make sure he's not missing the best thing he could possibly be watching.
Well, in my house, it is an absolute disaster trying to figure out what we're ultimately going to watch. But you're 100% right. I mean, when I think about when I was a kid and just how much time that, if we wanted to watch or consume something, we had to go to a theater to watch or consume something new. And we're watching, well over 90% of our consumption now is happening at home, on our couch, all right, with a big old bucket of popcorn, and it's cool, but it's definitely a transition for sure.
Yeah, I know I probably watch way too much already. I don't even know how many streaming platforms that I have. I was at an event just last month, and I had people stand up if they had more than one streaming platform, and then I said more than 3, and we got up to 7, and I still had 3 or 4 people standing. So yes. It's where viewership is happening.
But I love it though. It's like now maybe a little bit I do miss. I do miss having that bookshelf in the house with every single Disney movie ever created, and just having to wait for the tape to rewind backwards. But now my kids still get to experience all of this, but they get to experience how they want to and when they want to do that. Well, let's get into this. So really, guys, for the dealers out there, if you're not on the big screen, you need to come back to the big screen. And I want to get into, why does measurement, let's get into the marketing side of it, right? I want to get into the marketing side of it. Why does measurement matter more than the media spend?
So I don't want to say that it matters more.
Mm-hmm.
It works in concert with everything you put together through your marketing strategy, right?
Yes.
It's definitely an important part. But if you're not identifying what's working and what's most impactful, how could you possibly know how to validate where your dollars are being spent? It doesn't matter if you spend $1,000 or $10,000 if you're not doing those things to understand, am I reaching the right audience in the right places?
No, 100%. I'm to your point. You said it earlier, right? 7 different streaming things, and then that's probably the ones we're paying for. I probably watch another 4 or 5 that are actually completely free that I'm not paying for, depending on the sporting event that I want to watch that may just not be aired in the U.S. Or even back to there's some free ones out that just run classic movies. I'm a classic country western movie fan. I know if you guys didn't know that, now you know. And there's a channel. There's a free streaming channel out there for that, and I absolutely love it. But when I think about positioning wise, you're so right about this. Right? The positioning is not like, I'll say when we first started doing commercials for our dealership, right? It was about prime time, right? That's what it was about. It was about prime time, all right? It was getting right up there in that Channel 7 news hour, right there where, we were told from an analytics perspective, this is where we're having the most amount of measurement, the most amount of people on there. But now it's flipped. It's now targeting prime time, I guess, well, isn't prime because we're now targeting the customer where they're watching, right? And let's dive a little deeper into that.
Well, in my world, prime time's anytime, right? People are consuming very differently. They're watching very differently. So it could be anytime. And at Spectrum Reach, we do have a solution called multiscreen attribution. And so what we're doing is we're really trying to measure where outcomes actually happen from, not necessarily where all the eyeballs are, right? Everyone's saying, well, this is where you can get the most impressions. Well, you can have all the impressions in the world. If you're not getting outcomes off of them, I mean, it really doesn't matter. So when we're looking at, if you want to look at day parts, and we're looking at that, we're finding that early morning has just as many outcomes, the same level of outcomes as prime time, right? So people wouldn't necessarily think that. We also see that actually, 73% higher than average outcomes is happening in what they call early fringe, which is 4 to 6 p.m.
Okay.
That's 73% better than the average. And then it's still a 63% better than average at prime access, which is at 7 to 8 period. So I think that, when I start talking to some advertising agencies and, they have been buying this, the same way, same day parts, this is the best place to be, this is where all the impressions are. That's not the right thing to be looking for. You should really be looking for, yes, you want reach, but if it's not developing for outcomes, why does that matter? Outcomes are what you're looking for.
And to get those outcomes, we have to be audience first. Right, that is the beautiful thing that has evolved on the big screen. That wasn't the case when we did it. We had to just focus. Here's the most amount of viewers. We didn't necessarily know. We know at any given moment, 3% of the market was in market for a car. Right, so 3% of the people watching potentially were in market for a car. Right, but we had to create a piece of creative that spoke to just literally everybody, and that's not the case anymore. I was just recently talking to a Ford dealership. If you're a Ford dealership out there, you'll understand this. The F-150 is not bought by a singular audience. I mean, there's like 9 different, very specific audiences that are purchasing an F-150, and including families. It's now becoming, trucks are now becoming one of the biggest family alternative vehicle out there. I mean, in the past, I never ran a truck ad for a family? Come on, that doesn't make any sense, right? But no, so being able to be audience first really means that, to your point, that prime time ain't prime. It's always prime. It's just where your customer's at, what they're consuming at the moment they're consuming it, and kind of going back to what we were talking about, measurement over media spend. I'm not having to have. I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely think spend needs to be a part of this. And don't get into this and think you're just going to have this purple checkbox and you're going to say, "Oh, I'm going to put my $3,000 over there." No. This is an investment. But the reason it should be an investment is because we're able to target that right customer.
That's right. And we should be using data instead of our guts of what that looks like, right? And I think that's where it's really important that we really just follow the data. I say that a lot. Follow the data. And that's one of the great things that at Spectrum Reach, we are the connection to the actual home. We are the ISP. Yes. We have all this data, and we use it for the forces of good to help people actually be more effective with their targeting and finding the right audience. Well,
and I do know when certain advertisers are not hitting the mark when it comes to the right audience, right? I had an incident the other day where my son was watching something, and I can't remember necessarily which streaming solution it was, but it was obviously a kid's program. And here comes an ad for Hims and erectile dysfunction. And he's like, "Hey, Dad, what is?" I'm like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" And I'm like, as an advertiser, what were you thinking? I mean, clearly you know who the audience of watching this content is. So someone connect the dots. I don't think.
I could go down a whole rabbit hole with that. Yeah, a lot of programmatic buying going out there.
That's true.
Not everyone's doing it in a really great way.
That's a perfect example.
Bottom of the barrel, you end up there. Not a good place to be.
Yeah, don't be bought. Anyways. Anyways. All right. I want to talk a little bit about sports because you said something earlier, and it really kind of triggered how I'm consuming sports these days. So for a lot of you out there watching, listening, you guys know that I've got into golf. I'm getting a little later in my years now, and I've found something that I can start doing pretty much until the day I die. So I'm excited about it. Not good at this at all, but I'm watching the pros, so I get to go watch some of the tournaments. I'm watching my tournament, and it's up on the big screen. And then on my small screen, I'm following the specific individuals that I like to learn more from. So here I am, I get to watch the big screen with the main feed, and then I get to watch the individual player feeds on this device. I have never consumed sports this way, but I'm seeing more and more of this kind of, you were talking about earlier, kind of multi-device, kind of participation or watching happening. And I guess I kind of always, I watch people, watch a football game, and they got another football game on their scene. But why do sports seem to, I guess, punch above their weight class for dealers specifically? Because I think there's a lot of opportunity with sports and dealers.
Well, first, before I get with that, you obviously are new to golf because if you're as passionate as I am with golf, and I'm not that great either, I watch the golf, I put my phone underneath where the scorecard's supposed to be, and I watch golf while I'm golfing. So, pro tip.
I like that.
Out in the world and still enjoying content, right?
Right, everywhere.
Prime time, anytime.
Anytime.
But why do sports punch above? Well, fan engagement, right? Number one, that's a very engaged audience that's watching, and while they're engaged, they're getting emotional and they're having all these feelings, and that emotion is what video brings in general. So it's always been the assumption that sports fans, when they see ads in their content, are going to have more of a response rate because emotions are flowing. That's always been considered. We used our multi-screen attribution solution to see exactly, is that true? And we were able to find conclusively that yes, it is. They respond 24% better than not watching in sports.
Well, no, actually, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I remember, taking a class early on when I went to school for marketing, right? And they're like, the emotion, regardless of the emotion, right? If I can make you laugh, if I can make you sad, or I pull at the heartstrings a little bit, or ultimately if I can piss you off, all right? That emotion does something to the brain and a connection, and it allows us to retain information and what we're seeing at 3-4 times X, just because the body is to your point, in a heightened, I guess, kind of mode, right? So that makes total sense. Now, I want to talk a little bit about language networks, because when I had my dealership, I was in an ethnic melting pot. All right, I mean, there were 9 different languages that spoke in my PMA, right? I mean, so I had staff. I remember I had one staff person that spoke 10 different languages. Like this was a common thing. And I always remember, kind of as a marketer, just how difficult, because at the time there just wasn't a lot. Like, unless you were going to that language newspapers, or there might have been a radio that was dedicated to it, but like there was just no great place to target different ethnic backgrounds based on their language. Here you guys come in, and there is some real hidden value here, and I'd love to dive deeper into this.
So I think probably the biggest language where you're going to get the impact from would be Spanish.
Of course, absolutely.
We got a large part of our population that speaks Spanish, and Spanish comes in a lot of different flavors, right? I mean, so there's different ethnicities in Spanish, so there's a lot of different flavors there, but there's lots of Spanish television in our country. We got CNN Español, we got Galivisión, People are watching them.
Yes.
And the people who are watching don't necessarily, to your point, only speak Spanish.
Exactly.
They speak English as well, sometimes only Spanish. But what we have found is that audience, they appreciate good advertising.
100%.
Sometimes it's an underutilized area and they're not getting the best advertising. And we do see a 30% higher response rate in our Spanish-speaking audiences on those networks, even if the ad itself isn't even in Spanish.
Sure.
So I think it's an utilized audience that is a huge part of our population, and it's good response rate. They're loyal customers. They appreciate being, advertised to. And I think the more people start diving in there, and instead of ignoring it completely or thinking they have to have a Spanish-speaking commercial, I think the more success that they'll start to see when they decide to speak to that audience.
Well, and I think that's the point, guys. You're going to find that kind of be as a general theme for everything that I know me and Tara are going to be talking about is speaking to that audience. And that is the most impactful and powerful strategy that we're talking about here. Look, for years, I've sat down with dealers, and usually in the first kind of meeting, they always go, well, Jason, you've been doing marketing for a long time. What's the best marketing strategy? I'm like, all right, do you got 4 hours? I mean, no, but the one I've always defaulted and kind of come back to, it's the one where the customer feels like they're known by the business, right? There's nothing better when I'm watching something on any one of my devices, and I'm an outdoorsy guy. I love camping. I do a lot of hiking. I have a vehicle that's an overland vehicle. I just like being uncomfortable and outdoors on a very regular basis, right? So like when I see that content come up, I don't put my phone down. I watch, because it's speaking to me as a consumer. It's connecting with me as a consumer, and we have the opportunity to do that. And what a better way to do that than in a language, right?
Yeah. Well, and if you think about it, people, I know this is cliche. Everyone always says it. People buy from people they like.
Yes.
They can't like you if they don't know you, and they can't know you if you're not in front of them. So that's where video really does play a big part in getting people to know you and like you, even if they've never actually been to your store or met you. It's huge. That sight, sound, and emotion, like when we talked about the sports, we're creating a relationship. So make sure you're saying the right things. Make sure you're talking to the right audience.
Well, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think, for a lot of people out there watching and listening right now, I think this is going to be one of the biggest changes in your marketing strategy is with the intent now for that marketing to connect. Right, connection is key, and we could do that now. We have the data that tells us who we're communicating to, when we're communicating to them, and what platform we're communicating to them, so that we can create a piece of creative that's going to connect with that individual. Here's the thing: if you're out there watching, listening right now, and you're putting out there nothing but $250 biweekly ads, I'm going to tell you a funny story, Tara. And I'm sure, look, you're in the automotive industry, so I'm sure this has happened to you. You go to a dinner party, all right, and someone finds out you're in the automotive industry. Oh, let me tell you. Like, oh, okay, here it comes. And I'm like, yeah. Oh, what's horror story are you going to tell me about right now? But here's the one thing I found fascinating. I always go into dinner party, people want to, and I love hearing the good, the bad, and the ugly experiences. I love hearing that. But here's the one thing I found interesting. When I asked them about what vehicle they purchased, not once yet has anybody said, well, the $250 biweekly one. Have you? Has anybody ever said that to you?
No.
No, right? No. But for some reason, we default. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I do believe there's a place and time for this, all right? But that shouldn't be your primary objective. The primary objective should be to connect with the audience, right?
Yeah, I think you have to make sure that they know you. And obviously, you're going to want them to know your product as well. So you're going to put the product in there. And price always does tend to be one of the most important things. But it really doesn't have to be the only thing that they're yelling
Exactly.
at you about in the commercial. All those commercials where they think they have to yell, so then you'll look at the TV. I think that might have worked like when TV was in its early days. I don't think that works so much now.
No, I mean honestly, when an ad pops up in my streaming and it's got like some like McMahon, today, now, $1,000 trade-in bonus. I don't know.
I don't want to know that person.
My brain wants to turn it off, right? I mean,
Yeah, I don't want to know that person.
no, but it's funny because I think as an industry we do know this. All right, if we go back to the trunk monkey or the badger, I mean, there wasn't any payments in those. Those were they evoked an emotion. You got a laugh out of it. Your brain retained that was the Suburban Group. That was Johnson Kia. God,
Yeah.
does that imagine? It's decades later, and I still remember that.
I still remember too.
Like decades, right? So,
Yeah.
guys, this is what we're talking about. These are the opportunities you have. Now, we talked a little bit about local, and I love local. Like not only do I love connecting with a very specific audience, but I love connecting local. One of the favorite, when we ran, TV commercials, it was all about the local news. All right, and that's because it seemed to always outperform better. Now, I found recently you guys put something out that says the exact same, so I'm really kind of cool. Let's get into this. All right, why does local news outperform national?
So I can't speak for all local news or broadcast stations across the country, but I can speak for Spectrum News that's in all of our markets. It's our 24/7 local news that we have. And the reason that we outperform is because we have no bias. It's not political. It's just straight to the point.
Yes.
It's news they can trust. It's about their local community. And, it's straightforward. And I think, a lot of the national news, it's turned more into opinion than actual just the news, just the facts. And Spectrum News just does a really great job with that. So we did find that auto advertisers, not just all advertisers, but auto advertisers specifically, get a 20% higher rate of return for response rate than across national news or any other news.
Well, and it's because it's a local audience.
Yes.
Right. So again, you're connecting not only to the audience that you want to connect to, but you're connecting to them locally. And when I think about this, guys. If you're out there watching, listening, you've watched the local news before. That is one of the times where I am consuming. Like it's intentional. I'm intentionally I want to find out what's going on in my area. In fact, this has been many times where we have that on, and I'll be like, whoa, turn that up. What? Oh, that's going on this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, guys, you want to go do this? That sounds like a lot of fun. Let's go to that songwriters thing that they're doing at the park. That's not too far from us, right? So it makes sense. It makes sense that that dealers are seeing a higher lift there because you're talking about an audience that is very they're captivated. There's a reason why they came here. They want to learn about what's going on in their community in that local way. So again, I think for years, we always just kind of thought that this was a very expensive and very difficult place to advertise. And Tara, tell them, this is not.
It's not.
Right?
I understand. People thought it was difficult or complicated. It doesn't have to be. It's only as complicated as people decide to try to make it. Technology has really come a long way. It doesn't take that much money to even create a great ad in itself. With AI now and the capabilities, you can create a wonderful ad that does what we talked about for very little dollars, and it can be super impactful.
There's been some ones out there that I just kind of I'm like, okay, that was pretty good. Like, I got a good laugh out of it, and that's the biggest opportunity, right? Like, guys, this is not that difficult. It is an easy thing to do, but hey, it does require some strategy, and you need to maintain that objective of connecting with your audience and creating fun, creative. And to your point, creative, I think, also was at some point kind of a gatekeeper or kind of like a hard hurdle, I think, for people. It's not the case anymore.
No.
There are some amazing DIY solutions now online. There's even some great agencies here that are doing some amazing creative, for that. So please, you definitely do it. I want to get into one thing. I want to make sure I'm not going to get on my soapbox for this one, because I know if you're out there watching and listening right now, I've talked about channel marketing for a while, and one of my biggest pet peeves is this kind of like proverbial box. like checkbox. Like I just got to check the boxes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to check that I'm doing Meta. I'm just going to check off that I'm doing Instagram. I'm just like, well, I'm doing it. Well, you just check the box. That's and it's still it is so. I mean, I had the opportunity recently, and I was doing an audit for a relatively large dealer group out in California. If you know who you are, say hi. And I was just amazed that fundamentally the channel strategy hadn't changed in over a decade. I mean, almost literally as far back as I could get analytics was about as far back that they've been continuing to execute this. And there's some danger that goes with just, playing it safe and just, I guess, using the usual networks or just checking off the boxes. And I want to go down that rabbit hole with you.
It's not just about how many eyeballs you're getting, it's about how many people you're actually reaching that are part of that target audience, and how many times you're reaching them and staying in front of them and working towards, again, outcomes.
Yes.
Making sure that those aren't just wasted, impressions. Great, you got all those impressions. Are any of those your audience?
That's
And
right.
maybe some of them, maybe you only get them once instead of being able to reach them several times. So I think when we think about the channels, we need to stop, because what
I'm
we're
with you.
really thinking about is the audience. Why do I care what they're watching as long as I'm getting in front of them?
Yeah, no, we do. We need to get away from checking off these proverbial boxes, right? And making sure that I'm on this network and this network and this network and this network, right? And we really need to go to the customer first. And regardless, it's funny because when I think of, so my son is really big into soccer. And there are certain soccer teams, there's a Brazil team that he really likes to follow. There's a Spain team that he really, so we end up watching soccer in a language that I don't speak. But it's being played in my house, right? Look, and the consumption's quite large. So I'm telling you guys, as a marketer, from marketer to marketer, right? If you're just going off of the little network checkbox, you just missed one that's played in my house for almost 3 hours a day.
Exactly.
Because I'm not targeting, because that's what happens when you guys target the channel and not the individual. I think that'd be funny if people saw my household map of what we consume.
I think everyone's household map is different now, right? And one of the things I truly love about what I do and where I work right now is we started this off as TV dead, right? TV's changed. It's evolved is what has happened. And when I look at what Spectrum Reach or cable companies, and people always say we're a cable company, that's one of our services. We have many services. We're also an internet company, which gives us a lot of data and a lot of knowledge. So we have a lot of things, but the way they started, if you go back, is they went out, they collected a whole bunch of channels and put them in one place, right?
Yep.
And made it so people could advertise. Well, nothing's changed. The devices and the way that it maybe is delivered has changed. We're out there collecting streaming services now, so you can advertise on any of them that are ad supported to be there. And we're the largest aggregator of video inventory between regular traditional for people who are still watching that way, and then across all the streaming as well. I mean, we effectively are cutting our own cord when people have a smart TV. So like I started, phones are still here, they're just different.
Well, and that's what I've always loved about your guys' company, because you guys have been committed to being where the customer's at. Even though, to your point, where you might be cutting your own cord, you're like, no, look, you guys are going to be the blockbuster. You're not going to fall in love. You're going to realize that, no, customers are elsewhere. We need to be there as well, and I always appreciate that. All right, so my next question for you, and we've talked a little bit about creative, and I love good creative. Like, I just get a giggle out of it sometimes. I was like, on my way in, actually, today, I came by a billboard. And by the way, I'm not going to say like I'm a big proponent for billboards. I'm not, but I will say I passed by this one, and Tara, it did make me giggle. Like, it just, it had the right message, just the right creative on it, and it's just like, I'm like, you got me. I looked, right? And I'm like, okay, that was a great job. But I do want to get, so we've mentioned it a little bit, but I want to get a little deeper down that rabbit hole of like what creative elements ultimately move the needle. And this is the one thing that I loved about you guys, because not only are we seeing what moves the needle from the audience perspective, but you guys are also being able to see creatively what moves the needle. What have you guys have seen?
So Beauty again of having all this data, and we run thousands and thousands of campaigns every single month. Many are in auto, right? Over 1,000 a month in auto. And we're able to look at all these different elements. We decided, what are we going to look at so we can advise our clients what works and doesn't work. And we found some interesting propensities. I think this would be obvious, but some people might need to hear it. Put your website on. Put your website in your ad. 68% higher response rate when you do. Imagine that.
Right.
Imagine that. Please do. Another thing that's really interesting for automotive ads specifically, and I don't know how I feel about all of this, but it is what it is, 75% better response rate when it's a male voiceover over a women's voiceover. However, this is where it gets like juicy. Highest response rates are if women are in the commercials.
Okay, so I need a male voiceover with women in my commercial. Okay,
yes.
Okay, I love
and
it.
people love to have children, but children actually show one of the smallest response rates for automotive advertising.
Okay.
So, I mean, these are just little interesting things to keep in your mind, like when you're looking to have, your commercials made. Knowing those things and those data points are important.
Well, it's all about optimization, right? And I will say, as an industry, we've understand the concept of optimizing little things. If you guys are all out there watching and listening right now, and you've been in the business for a while, you remember the e-price button. You remember that, right?
I do.
It was about a decade ago. Every dealer in the world had this green little button on their website, and it was green. That was hey, you put this there, and it did. I mean, it did. It fundamentally increased, and that's what I think I appreciate again about you guys. Not only just looking at how we optimize the audience, but we're also how we optimize that creative.
I checked my notes. I knew I was missing a point.
Yes.
Celebrities. Let's talk about celebrities in your commercial. A lot of people are going to bring a lot of in automotive commercials. It does absolutely nothing.
What?
Nothing.
What do you mean?
It doesn't bring any higher responses. It doesn't bring lower responses. It's just net zero. So it's very expensive to have those celebrities, but I don't think, other than maybe for a vanity play, it really is going to do anything to drive outcomes.
No, I'm with you. I mean, I don't think I ever bought a car because Morgan Freeman told me I should, or The Rock, or whoever is up there.
Matthew McConaughey.
The Lincoln commercial. I didn't even know it was a commercial. Do you remember that? First time I saw that, it was just like
I thought it was a preview for a movie.
I know. I think it was just kind of him talking to somebody, didn't it? And it was just only at the last 5 seconds. I know that's a epic fail. But no, it makes sense though. I mean, I think for you guys out there watching, listening right now, it's like the celebrity is the car, right?
Yeah.
And secondary celebrity should be the experience that I'm ultimately going to. So if you're really going to highlight something and you're going to make it this celebrity style highlight in your creative, all right? Well, obviously it's the vehicle, and I think it's the experience. Right, that's the one thing I've always resonated when I see dealers put creative out there, is that they've taken some portion of that time to really tell me, hey, when you come here, this is what you're going to expect. This is what you're going to experience. And I tell you, as someone who's recently just bought a truck, all right, when I went there, and that is what I experienced, all right, it was putting those two together and having that connection, going, wow, this is not just a marketing, motto, a message, all right? This was actually the experience that I got, and it was honestly phenomenal. Like, it really was.
You just made me think of one of my favorite ads. It's of a saleswoman who has a cutout of I don't know, what's that really big brass instrument, like the big, really tuba?
Tuba, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a cutout of a tuba, and she's going around and trying to put it in all the different vehicles, And then what happens is you see this woman and her son with the big old tuba show up, and they put it in the car. So showing that experience of, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to find what's the right vehicle for you, the right fit. And I love that commercial. Every time I see it, I just laugh because it's adorable. It hits all the points.
Well, it makes the experience that celebrity moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's, I don't want to just come there and meet the celebrity. I want that. That's what the celebrity experience. I want to have that. And I think that's very, very cool. I love that you bring that creative up, right? Because I have seen this kind of, this blending, right? At one point in time, creatively, it was obvious what was created for the big screen and what was created for these tiny screens, right? Like it's just so. Like let's talk about like the world of TikTok for a moment, okay? You know, it's obvious when there was kind of like a TikTok commercial, and then there was something that creatively was made for. I have seen the two worlds blend, and you know, I think I see more TikTok style ads come through than I think I saw kind of older, more polished, and I love it. I personally love it, but I love to kind of get kind of your thoughts, and it's like, does that ad length, you know, still matter? Does that TikTok style work? Like,
So I think ad length, yes, it matters, but if you have a bad ad, probably the shorter it is, the better.
if it's a 15-second bad ad, it's a 15-second bad
Yeah,
ad.
having good creative is first and paramount in all of it. But we have found that 30-second commercials actually outperform shorter versions of a 15-second or less commercial quite substantially. I think something by like 38% they outperform. And that makes sense because, again, you're building a relationship, you're telling a story, and you're building that experience for the client. It's harder to do with shorter amount of time.
And it's funny because I struggle with it because, you know, I come from that generation where I do like a little build up in the story. Now, I do watch like my kids who will eventually grow up and be the next generation, and they want it. Like, if you're not grabbing my attention in that first 3 seconds, they've already moved on. I have a struggle because sometimes I try to watch a movie with them. And you remember, like, movies for us, like, you know, in the 80s and so on, like, there was a build-up to that story, right? You know, and no, not so much. Like, if something's not exploding or a planet's not getting destroyed or it's just, like, in the first three, okay, I'm out, I'm done. Look, regardless how you feel about that or not, it is the truth of the matter that, you know, we have a shorter period of time to get in front of them. But to your point, guys, if you're just going to put out a 10-second crappy ad, it's still going to be a 10-second crappy ad. I don't care if it's just because you hit the 10-second mark, it's not going to change anything, right?
Yeah.
No.
It has to be good creative. If you can tell the right story in 15 seconds, by all means. But we do see higher response rates on the 30-second ads. I mean, I think they both have value. I think one, really, you're building that awareness and that brand and that connection.
That's true.
And then maybe a shorter one is that reminder. But you know what? A reminder doesn't force someone to respond either.
No, and in fact, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time, but I'm really glad that you said that because I think for everybody out there watching and listening, this is really key too. It's not one piece of creative.
Yeah.
All right. I love the fact that we're able to put out maybe a longer piece as kind of the lean-in piece and have smaller teaser pieces that kind of go along with that. And you can get creative in this ability. So
They should all be part of the same thing
A
and
new
reference.
sequence.
It should be a reminder of the bigger thing that they've already seen. So when they see 3 seconds, it makes them think of the 30 seconds.
Yes. And I think that's a great and phenomenal strategy out there. Okay, look, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time. So my last question is, like, what's the number one question a dealer should ask their agency, like, tomorrow?
How they're deciding how the campaigns are built, where they're being targeted, and where they're being ran.
I like that.
I think
Built,
not enough
targeted,
dealers are
ran.
asking those questions of the agency. If it's their gut and their 30 years of experience, obviously that's not the right answer. They better be saying they're following the data and be able to say where that data is coming from.
No, I like this, and I think for everybody out there watching and listening, this is definitely something that you guys need to go and deploy immediately because too often I get called up to do a quick audit, and I'm just finding just these proverbial check boxes, and that is not a strategy. A proverbial checkbox is not a strategy. Maybe at one point, that's what we were kind of told by the networks that we should be doing, is just check, but that's not enough. What Tara's just kind of laid out for you guys is an actual strategy, and I think there's nothing wrong for you to have a real conversation with your agency and push back a little bit and question what is that data strategy. what is that creative strategy? All right, and where are you ultimately running? Where are you executing this? These are all very important strategies. And look, it's your money at the end of the day. You need to be asking these questions. Tara, thank you so much, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me, Jason.
Hey guys,
I really
real quick,
appreciate it.
big round of applause for Tara. Thank you guys. Hey, for everybody out there watching and listening right now, you are a game changer. You're a game changer because you've watched this. Hey, hang out here just for a little bit. Me and Tara are going to jump on, and we're going to do a quick Q&A. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.
Hey, everyone. What's going on? That was fun. Man, I know a lot more about streaming. Hold on, let me get Tara. She's on here. Let me get her in the back. She's in the back. Let's get her up here. All right. Hey, Tara, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing, Jason?
How you doing? Tara, man, wasn't this a fun conversation?
It was. I had a great time. That was a great day.
It was. And for everybody out there watching and listening, and man, we got a lot of you. Hey, I seriously thought LinkedIn was going to dominate, but hey, all my YouTube peeps, like, what up? Thanks for showing up, everyone. This has been awesome. Talk about a really, really great showing today. And Tara, we got some text messages. Some I can share, some I can't. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't get any of those. I did get a fair amount of happy holidays. We love you, Tara. So for everybody out there that sent that message, I am now giving it back to you. Okay. All right. We did get some great questions though. So I know you got a few minutes, let's dive into some of these questions. Okay. This one I thought was great. Is there a way to see if someone that saw my ad actually ends up at my store? I mean, that's a big one. I think everyone is always kind of curious about that when they run these type of campaigns.
So short answer, yes, there is a way for that to happen. Long answer, we don't have enough time. There's a lot of different steps and things we would obviously need to connect. And sometimes they need to be connected, or sometimes the dealer just needs to be willing to share a certain amount of data back with us for us to be able to prove that out for them.
Well, and I think that's cool, right? I think for everybody out there watching, yes, listening right now, like there's your answer. Yes, you can attribute. And, you know, I mean, for years, guys, I've run big screen formats and, you know, just kind of chalked them off as awareness campaigns. But to know that, hey, we can go down that attribution rabbit hole is a great one. Okay, Tara, I got another one for you. And I feel like this has got a little like country to it. Maybe this one. If I ain't got a huge budget, where should I start first? I love this one. This is a good one, Tara. Where should I start first if I don't have a big budget?
Well, if I didn't have a big budget, I'd start narrow and smart, right? I'd use my own data to find the zip codes and customers that actually drive the bulk of my revenue, because that's super important. And then I build a very tight video audience around in-market shoppers and people that are in those spaces, right? In those areas. That's going to be super important, because then I'm going to be putting the message in a high quality video environment like CTV streaming, premium digital or online video, instead of just trying to be everywhere. I find you focus, wherever you focus, that's where you win, right? I'd rather be highly visible to the exact households that I'm actually looking to reach, or ones like those households I'm looking to reach, than to just try to be everywhere where I'm not sure if those are the right people that I should even be getting in front of. So getting targeted, having a consistent message of what I want that message to be in front of those people. Right.
Yeah, making it consistent is really kind of key, right? I mean, way too often, like I'll see, you know, one set of ads over here saying this message, and then manufacturers over here saying this, and you don't know it's coming from the same place at the end of the day.
Right. And so if you're targeted and you're being consistent, that's really how to make your small video budget act big. Like it makes it act a lot larger than it is and takes it a lot further. And we do have the tools and the data sets to help with that, to help figure out where those areas are for you, match it up with in-market shoppers, and then be able to deliver to those homes. So if I had a smaller budget, that's where I'd start.
Well, and this is actually kind of like we literally just got this one in, so it's kind of a follow up to that same question, and I think you kind of answered it, but let's do it. So why is doing video all of these on all of these different screens better than just TV or Facebook?
I don't want to insult just TV or Facebook.
I don't.
I don't think you should. This is something I'll say very frequently. I don't focus directly on the channels as long as I'm able to get in front of the right audience.
There you go.
Right. So
Yep.
I want to be able to get in front of the right audience wherever they are. If that happens to be on TV, that's great. If that happens to be on Facebook, that's great. But I'd rather be using a large aggregator that seamlessly is connecting all of these services that people are watching ad-supported content on and not care, was it on, Paramount Prime, I could go on and on, ESPN, Fox News, MSNBC, I'd not care as long as it was the right targeted audience I was trying to meet in the right place. And one of the things that I love that we've been doing at Spectrum Reach, which I mentioned, it was so great to hear it back, is we've been connecting those the same way that, cable started a long time ago. We are now connecting all of these streaming services and bringing it back so you can have one place that you are able to pull it all together.
No, I think that's great. We talked a little bit about this actually kind of during the recording as well, right? And then sometimes before as well. Look, if you're going to target me and I'm an in-market shopper, don't just assume where I spend my time. We were talking about this, how much I watch what's the Spanish football streaming network? I always forget the name of it. But I watch a fair amount of this because my kids love to watch their certain team that they only can watch on this network, right? And I think if you were just targeting my household, you would have never thought that would have been one of the networks that you should have been targeting. But when you're actually targeting the household, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
You got to think about the household. We got to, as an industry, we have to get away from this channel strategy where I got to check off the Facebook box and the Netflix box and the Prime box. And I got to check off the Instagram box. And, we got to get away from this channel strategy and just think about targeting the household, just like you said, right?
Exactly. Being able to correlate all the data together across all of those platforms and then, reach them in a cost-effective and a succinct way.
Cost-effective and consistent.
Yes.
Right? Here's the funny thing. And I tell people, they ask me all the time, what are some of the best marketing strategies out there? And there's something that's still to be said about the very, very traditional, very, very time-tested strategy of reach and frequency.
Yeah.
If you just reach an audience one time, it means nothing. You have to maintain frequency, and it's got to be on this device and that device and this device and the one that's over on the wall over there. It's that reach and frequency that makes a big one. Okay. We got time for, let's see here. We got time. We can see if we can get through one, maybe two more. Okay. Okay. This is maybe a little bit of a general one, but I dig where they're going with this. How do I know my ad money ain't just getting wasted out there? That's a fair question. It's
a very fair question. If you can't measure what you're putting out there, that makes it very difficult. I think always starting a campaign, and when you're working with whomever, your agency, account executive from Spectrum Reach, or whomever you're working with, I think it's super important to understand what you're trying to achieve and what the goal is. Number one, what good looks like. So what are the key performance indicators? What are those KPIs you're looking for? And then be able to put not only the campaign up against that, but know how you're going to measure it as it goes on. And as we answered earlier, we do have ways to attribute if they've gone to your website. Depending on how much information you're willing to give back to us, we are able to then share if they made an appointment or if they actually bought from you. But obviously, I was in the car business on the dealer side for a long time, and I never saw a single commercial that sold a car. It comes down to the dealer actually selling the car. And so the way that I feel that it works is it giving you the right exposure that you're looking for? Are people coming to your website? Are they turning into leads? And then are they converting into appointments?
And that's why I think it's key to find a good partner. So, when I think about this question, and I appreciate the way that you answered it. I think the way I would answer it is stop looking for just a vendor that's just going to, go into a vending machine and pull something out and just kind of give it to you, right? Like, look for a partner. Someone, look, if that individual or that company is not asking about like what Tara just said, what are your objectives? Like, what are you trying to achieve, right? Then they're just marketing for the sake of marketing. They're just checking off a proverbial box, right?
Yeah.
Like, this needs to be a very open conversation about, how many appointments you're trying to achieve, or what specific vehicles you're trying to target, what markets in your area, all right, that you're trying to tap more into, right? Like, it needs to be more of a conversation rather than just, here, let me just buy that box and move on, right? So I think for the person who asked that question, great question, but have that conversation with your agency, and if not, just reach out to Tara.
Sure. I will, if you reach out to me, I will answer. I am very thoughtful about that. I can't say how soon I'll answer, but I will answer.
Is very, very true. Okay, look, I know we're in towards the tail end of our conversation, last 5 minutes of it, right? So I gotta ask, it's the holidays. So any traditions, Tara, at home? Like, anything is the tree already up? Are you ready to go?
I guess. So, I'm originally from, I always say Detroit. I'm not really from Detroit. I lived in the Detroit metro area for a long time. I'm originally from Flint, Michigan. Nice and cold and frigid and lots of potholes. It's amazing. I moved to Florida about 10 years ago. I do have all my Christmas up, but it just feels so wrong because like snowflakes and snowmen, come on now. And none of it really makes a whole lot of sense, but I have it up. I have it ready. Christmas traditions. I really only have one Christmas tradition. It's kind of a tearjerker, though. It's kind of a tearjerker.
Yeah. If you want to share, I'm definitely interested.
Yeah. So, you remember those Santa markets, like when you were in elementary school and you'd buy presents for your family members and stuff like that? Yeah, so in the Santa market, when I was a little girl, I used to always buy a Christmas tree ornament for my grandmother every single year. And I continued buying her ornaments every year for a very long time. And then when she passed away, obviously I was very sad, but I got all those ornaments and now those are deep keepsakes for mine. But a few years later, my younger sister named her daughter after my grandmother. And I started buying her a snowflake Christmas ornament every year. So that is my Christmas tradition that lives on for many years now.
That's very cool. I love it. Hey, Tara, thank you so much for sharing your Christmas tradition with us. And thanks for being a part of the Game Changer Holiday Series. This was a lot of fun to record. Hey, guys, for everyone out there watching, listening, if we didn't get to your question, I apologize. I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time, but I will make sure kind of in like the show notes down below, I'll put the question and we'll get that answered for you guys. Tara, any final thoughts or anything you'd like to say to our audience before we let everyone go? And man, you guys are getting big. It seems like we're getting towards the last couple minutes and we're still getting a bigger audience here. I love this. This is awesome.
Oh, I love that. I would just tell everyone, make sure that you're going with someone, to your point, that wants to be a good partner with you, that they're not afraid to be transparent with you and show you exactly where your money's going and how they're using it, and that they're asking you the right questions and that they're paying attention to your business.
Absolutely. Hey guys, thank you again, Tara. For everybody out there watching and listening right now, we appreciate you. Okay, one of the biggest compliments you can give us as content creators is share the show. Look, I know you're not going to like, I know you're not going to subscribe, I know you're not going to leave a comment. Okay, it's fine. I get it. I'm over it. I shed a tear, now I'm over it. But all right, if you got a friend or a colleague or a manager that needs to see some portion of today's conversation, it means so much to us when you shared the show. Hey, if you really like this content and maybe you didn't get to see the whole show, go to thegamechangerseminar.com. All right. And you'll be able to see this and all the rest of the holiday series there as well. All the links will be there with the videos and stuff like that. Hey, guys, thanks so much for taking the time to jam with us today. We really appreciate it. Tara, thank you. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, guys. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.